Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. One moment. So, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prachachana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prachachala Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hariharaya Nama Krishnaya Davaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaran Simatu Sudam Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Rupsi Sanatam Bhattaraguna Sicheva Gopala Bhatta Dasarakuna Hariharaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Gopal Govindaran Simatu Sudam Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Govinda 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 Gopala 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 Jaya Krishna Balaram Jai Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jai Krishna Balaram Jai Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jaya Gauranitai Jai Gauranitai Gauranitai Jai Gauranitai Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Mr. Bhatt, Pranam Subharat, Acharya Stotra, Sisi Matis Divine Grace, Ace Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai, all glories to Guru Karanga, all glories to Prabhupada. Narayana Namaskritam, Naram Chaivam, Narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tatochayam Udirayat. Nastapreshu Abhatreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Shlokir, Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Krishna Svatamapakate, Dharmakyani Pisaha, Kalonastati Mesha, Puruna Kutunotitaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langai Krim Yat Kripatam Hamade Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Paramananda Madhavam Krishna Chaitanya Ishvaram. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So, Hare Krishna. Welcome to new Bhagavata Katha from Srimad Bhagavatam. We read first canto, second chapter, text 9. dharmasya hi apavargyasya narto artayopakalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha dharmasya hi apavargasya nartorta nartorta yopa kalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kama lobhaya hi smritaha dharmasya hi apavargasya narto ritayopa kalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kama labhaya hi smritaha dharmasya hi apavargasya nartortaya yokalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kama lobhaya hi smritaha kama lobhaya hi smritaha dharmasya hi apavargasya nartortaya prakalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamo lobhaya hi smritaha dharmasya occupational engagement he certainly apavargasya ultimate liberation not artha and artaya for material gain upakalpate is meant for neither artasya of material gain, dharma eka antasya for one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service, kama sense gratification, lobhaya attainment of exactly smritaha is described by the great sages. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Purport. We have already discussed that pure devotional service to the Lord is automatically followed by perfect knowledge and detachment from material existence. But there are others who consider that all kinds of different occupational engagements, occupational engagement means dharma, including those of religion, are meant for material gain. The general tendency of any ordinary man in any part of the world is to gain some material profit in exchange for religious or any other occupational service. Even in the Vedic literatures, for all sorts of religious performances and allurements of material gain is offered, and most people are attracted by such allurements or blessings of religiosity. Why are such so-called men of religion allured by material gain? Because material gain can enable one to fulfill desires, which in turn satisfy sense gratification. This cycle of occupational engagements includes so-called religiosity, followed by material gain, and material gain followed by fulfillment of desires. Sense gratification is the general way for all sorts of fully occupied men. But in the statement of Sutta Goswami, as per the verdict of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is nullified by the present shloka. One should not engage himself in any sort of occupational services for material gain only, nor should material gain be utilized for sense gratification. How material gain should be utilized is described as follows in the next verse. Kamasya nendriya pritir labho chiveta yavata chivasya tattva chikyasya arto yasceha karma bhi. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiring about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Dharmasya hi apavargasya nartor tayopakalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamo lobhaya hi smrita. That's labhaya. Kama labhaya hi smrita. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to the sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Okay. So here, Sutta Goswami is speaking, addressing the sages of Naimisharanya, who are very curious what is the occupation of humanity most easy to perform in the coming Kali Yuga, that means in the present time, where they could get the best benefits. So, and Sutta Goswami, because he is inspired by Shukadev Goswami, and Shukadev Goswami is an liberated soul. He's not a karmavadi or a jnanivadi, although he was before, but because he became enlightened by the Bhagavat, hearing it from his father, Srila Vyasadeva. So he became completely mad after Krishna and only had Krishna consciousness in mind. So he's the topmost transcendentalist, Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa means somebody who is in the transcendental stage. He has no taste anymore for material gains or attaining any results or profits here in this material creation, in the upper, in the middle, or in lower, or in any stages. So he's a liberated soul. So it is advised that one has to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam from the liberated souls, from those who are free of vices, free of desires for material sense gratification, not from the professionals who only want to make some profit from spirituality, but actually remain attached to the material activities and profits, and also their followers attain the same result. But if one has the benefit to hear from the liberated souls, or those who follow the liberated souls with pure attention or pure motivation to also attain that stage, although they are not there now or yet, but they're making endeavors in this direction. This is very important. This is very important. Even if one is not there, But if we are making compromises and think, yeah, I'm not there, they can speak like that, but I cannot, I'm not there now. So I have to be honest, honestly say it. So we hear this many times from devotees, honestly say it. I'm a little allergic on that word. Sorry. Because there's some kind of self-cheat. And in the self-cheat from Bhagavad Gita, Vyasadeva, from very beginning, from the Bhagavatam, from this great work, he kicked out the Dharma, this cheating, self-pretense, in the name of religiosity or Dharma. Dharma prochita kaita vatra, parama nirmatsaranam satam. And for the Bhagavatam, he immediately made it clear the Bhagavatam is for those who are have no more interest in this material, to get any material benefits of this, of our work, or in this material world. So he makes it very clear already in the second verse that when the purpose of this book, because the book is very big, it's 18,000 verses. 18,000 verses, 12 cantos. And 300, I think, over 360 chapters. So it's a huge work. And Vyasadeva, he had an enlightenment, as we know from Narada, because that's the disciplic succession. We have to, we cannot become self-enlightened. That's another self-cheat. I'm self-enlightened, I have no guru, or my guru is from very old time, from thousands of years ago, some Jagat guru, who is somewhere esoterically, somewhere in the Himalayas or somewhere, some great yogi. And so I'm directly enlightened from him, or I'm enlightened from some avatar, from some Ishvara, from Deva or Shiva or Vishnu directly, or Krishna, or I'm Radharani is always manifested in me, so she is always present. So so there's so many self-cheat, so they're jumping over the process to go directly to a greatly spiritual personality without taking shelter in a present acharya or spiritual master, adhau guru ashraya, Vishrambhara, Guru Seva. So it should be a confidential, faithful service, dedicated service to the Guru. So the faith has to be there. I emphasized also yesterday from Guru, and from that, everything perfection will come. Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Yata Guru. So we have to simultaneously establish our faith in Guru and Krishna and Guru. We cannot put one on the side and jump directly to the one we like. So Shukadev Goswami, he's a liberated soul, and he wanted to leave from home. Because in that stage he was not attracted to Krishna. But then when he heard the Bhagavatam from Vyasadev's disciples, and then ultimately from Vyasadeva himself, a change in the heart took place. So Vyasadeva himself is the empowered incarnation, is Bhagavan himself, is Lord Narayana himself, Krishna Dvaipayan Vyasa. Therefore, he's known as Krishna Dvaipayan Vyasadeva. He's not different from Krishna because, like Jiva Goswami is pointing out in the Sandarbha, Tattva Sandarbha, who else than the Lord himself can write such a book like the Srimad Bhagavatam or compile it? And Sri Vyasadeva compiled that on the ripened stage, on the realized stage, after writing many, many other works. But ultimately he was not satisfied, although he first of all, he divided the one Veda into 4. He compiled the Mahabharata, like that, and many other, many Puranas and Upanishads, but he was not satisfied. So he met his guru, Narada, and Narada immediately realized that Vyasadeva was not in a happy mood. He was concerned because he was a thinker, and the thinker always have to think something. He's very close and absorbed, and he as long as he don't find the real solution, he comes not out of the thinking process. Therefore, that's Muni. Muni means he's absorbed. He's not speaking much. He's not acting externally, but he thinks, what is the highest benefit? What is the goal of life? Who I am? Who is God? What is our relationship with him? What is the process? This is the thinkers. The thinkers, the Muni or sages concern. They have no other idea. Because they know this material world is not our place. It's not our place where we can stay eternally or even for a long time, and making elaborate plans again and again how I will become happy. Therefore, this material world is called Bhavarga. Bhavarga is from the Sanskrit alphabet. Varga means it's an alphabet, the Bhavarga, beginning with Pa, Pa, Ba, Ba, Ma, Va. This is this alphabet or these syllables define what is the material existence. So first of all, it is hard work. It's very hard work, parishrama. Hard work with no result. It's like beating an empty husk of grains, and there's no result. It's only hard work, beating. So people are working very hard, but the result is 0, or only hard work. So therefore, they're described by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita as Mudha. Namam Dushkritina Mudha. On another place also he says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasa Yoga Maya Samamrita Mudo Yam Apichanati. So the Mudas, they cannot understand God. They cannot understand the supreme occupation of devotional service. They're only happy if they can carry big loads and work very hard like us. Therefore they're Muda. That's the nature. Even if they have opportunity to hear Krishna Katha, then they wonder what is the benefit. Why you don't work? And how is it possible? Why you don't work? You don't work, but you still have cars, you have house, you have a nice dress, and you're happy. How is it possible? So the people are amazed about the devotees, but still they cannot accept the life of the devotee because of bad habits. Yeah, we all have habits. We know everyone has some habits. We have to be honest in that point, that we have habits, but we don't have to be, hopeless and say, okay, let's be honest and honestly say it and open. So now it's not for me, or I'm not ready for it. This is the self-cheat. We should not think, okay, I'm not ready now, but in when you think you will be ready for surrender? Huh? Go down. When you will be ready to surrender? Huh? Shakya, when you will be ready to surrender? We always would say, yeah, maybe if I have attained that and that, if my son is grown up, my occupation, my duty is solved. And if I now maybe I go in rent, then I get a state rent, and then I'm more free. So we have so many ideas when at which point of life I will become free, so that I can absorb in spiritual life. But I can tell you, it will not happen if you don't start now. As soon as you have the opportunity, you have to start to take up this process of Sanatana Dharma, of Bhakti Yoga. Don't postpone it in the future and think, yeah, in the future it may happen. It will not happen. It will not come automatically. We have to work for it. We have to endeavor for it. We have to desire for it. We have to make steps in this direction. Like if you have a bad habit, you cannot say, oh, it goes automatically away. No, we have to positively learn how to get positive habits, better habits, so that we can forget our negative habits. So habits, we are habits people. So whatever we are lifestyle we are developing, we accept. That becomes our nature. We call this our nature. It's actually not our real nature. Our real nature is to be a servant of Krishna. But for somebody who is attached, the service of Krishna is so far away, and it's how I know that this Krishna is actually existing. How I know, is there still something happening like here? Because I like happenings, and like activity, enjoyment, some work. So but the people say yes, some work. But nowadays, what happened? You have to accept that work, but it's actually not fitting for you. You just have to accept the job with some cheap salary, or even a little more salary. What is the use? No, it is just a job, but it's actually not satisfying you really in the heart. And ultimately, whatever jobs we are performing in this material world, without engaging this job in the service of Krishna, or at least the fruits of it in the service of Krishna, then it is ultimately a waste of time. It keeps us in this material world. So therefore, Vyasadeva naturally, because he is a Leela avatar, although he's the Lord himself, he acts like somebody who is really a thinker, and I really don't know what is now the solution. But he wanted to show we need Guru who has the solution. Srila Prabhupada, he had the solution, but the people were not ready to accept, mostly. Against the drug addicts, against the problems of our modern time today. He had so many solutions, but they were not ready to accept. That's the misfortune. Only very few could accept. and took shelter in Srila Prabhupada's instruction. So Srila Vyasadeva, he took instruction from Narada Muni. And Narada Muni, from very beginning, he says, Nayat vachas chitra patam harer yasho jagat pavitram prakrinita karhichit tach vayasam tirtam ushanti manasa nayatra hamsa viramantya ushikshaya. Those words, which do not describe the glories of Hari Krishna, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons as a pilgrimage place of crows. Since the all-perfect swan-like persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure in there. So that was the first shloka spoken by Narada to Vyasa, shaking him up. What is the use of any literatures if it's not enough glorifying descriptions of devotional service to Krishna, to the Lord Hari, who alone can actually help us and purify us and bring us to the proper position in the spiritual world. And then Narada says, Tatvak Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Pratishlokam Abhadavadyapi Namantyasya Anantyasya Yashon Kintanyavat Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhava. And that literature, which is full of the descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes of the unlimited Lord, is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution, a change in the heart or in the impious lives of these world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed or written, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are throughoutly honest. So immediately told Vyasadeva, maybe your work is very nice, Mahabharata and the Vedas and the Upanishads, they're spotless as literary works, and in history and in philosophy, it's 100% perfect. But what is the use of 100% perfect work if ultimately there's no enlightenment in it? How ultimately understand who is that Brahman and Ishvara and Atma, what the Upanishad declare? Who is he? Nowadays we hear so many, they speak about God, they speak about the Atma, the soul, they speak about the Ishvara or about the Brahman, the divine light, the light of love. But nobody knows what that actually is. They have no definition for it. And that definition is clearly given in Vyasadeva's later work, master work, after many studies and writings of scriptures, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavata Purana. Then Narada continues. Naishkarmyam apyachyutta bhava vachitam na shobhate jnanam alam niranchanam kuta punakshashvat abhadram ishvare na charpitam karma yat apyakaranam. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of Achyuta, the infallible Lord. What then is the use of karmic activities, which are naturally painful and unfavorable from the very beginning, being transient, temporary by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? So here, Narada immediately linked Vyasadeva with activities of karma. You described encourage the people in karma because they have tendency in this direction. They cannot become inactive. So you inspire them in karma kanda. But here Narada says, okay, karma is good, but it should be connected with the Lord. That's yoga. That's bhakti yoga. You don't have to give up karma, but connected with the Lord. Because any occupation, dharma, if it is only used for sense gratification, we will not ultimately become benefited. So we are cheating ourselves and we're cheating others. But if we are using the dharma or our occupational duties for the glorification of the Lord and showing example for others how you actually as a grihasta and as a honest, really honest person in this world, even in this world of so many cheaters around you, can live actually peacefully and happily because of Krishna's grace. Because of Krishna's grace, because we have Krishna in the center. Although we are not on the Gopi or Gopa platform now, but we have Krishna in the center. And we following faithfully in the words and the footsteps of Sadhu Vriti, not Nishitachara. Nishitachara means following the imperfect, the rascals. Following their footsteps. This is not recommended. It's an anartha we have to give up. But if you are following the sadachara, sadhu achara, then that's perfect. Because whatever path the mahachans and the sadhus established, that's the path of liberation. That's later described also by Rishabhadev. Therefore, he encouraged his sons. Mahat sevant varam aho vimukte. Follow the Mahat. Because if you follow the Mahat, that will lead to liberation. We will hear about that later. So that means only if we have the light of the acharyas in our life and follow their guidelines, then we can ultimately make step by step, krama means step by step, progress in devotional service towards going back home, back to Godhead. So here Narada Muni continues, Ato mahabhaga haman namoga drik, suchi shrava satya rato trita vrataha, Urukramasya lavanda muktaye samadhi nanusmara tat vicheshtitam. O highly fortunate one. Your vision is perfect, your good fame is spotless, and you are firm in your vow of truthfulness. Thus, you are able to absorb yourself in the wonderful pastimes of the Lord for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. So here now, maybe Narada, he saw a little that Vyasadeva was a little depressed, because he got chastised. So Narada wanted to encourage him, say, you are spotless, your vision is perfect, you're a seer, you're a sage, you're famous, famous as a very pious personality, as a spotless personality, somebody who has no sin, who can give good advice to everyone. So Vyasadeva was famous all over Bharatvarsha in that society in that time. And you're especially are absorbed in truthfulness. You're truthful, satyam. So you don't speak a lie. That means you're a honest person. You never would speak somebody the untruth. And therefore, you have actually the qualification. It's such wonderful nature. to absorb your mind in the devotional service to the Lord. And in this way, you can actually do the best benefit to help the people, to show them the path to become free of bondage, of pavarga. You can show them the path of apavarga. Apavarga is the opposite of pavarga. Hard work, defeat, fear, bondage, and death ultimately. So these are the 5 problems of life. Pa, 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 ma. So these are the problems of life shown in this pavarga. But apavarga is the process of liberation to attain Lord Krishna's lotus feet. Liberation, if we speak about mukti or liberation, means mukti pade, sadaya bhak. Krishna is mukti pade. His lotus feet grant liberation. We only want to attain liberation without Krishna. That's not perfect. That's described later on in the next verses here from the Bhagavatam. There are the 3 stages: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So for the Jnanis, Brahman is the goal. For the yogis, Paramatma is the goal. But for the bhaktas, for the devotees, Bhagavan, Krishna is the goal. And in Krishna, all other goals, Paramatma and Brahman realization, are included. So therefore, why the devotee should make a bad deal? If he can get the best deal, he can get all in one. So if you can have all in one, so then why you have to endeavor for something temporary or what ultimately is not the supreme goal and will not ultimately give you the highest benefit. So the realization of Brahman and Paramatma is certainly very nice. They're also transcendentalists. But Shukadev Goswami in the Bhagavatam says, as long as they are not ultimately related to Krishna's lotus feet, this kind of transcendentalism is not the perfected stage. They maybe attain a certain result, Brahmaloka, or attain Brahma Nirvana, entering in the Brahmaloka, in the transcendental effulgence of the Lord. But they cannot attain the Vaikuntha, the world of no anxiety. And sooner or later, because they don't take shelter in Krishna, Aruya Krishnena Parampadam Tatha, Padanti Yushmat Angraya. So they fall down again to the world of samsara. So here, Narada, he says, Sanskrit I already quoted, I think. Not. Taton yata kinchana yat vivakshata pritak trishasta krita rupa namabhi nakarichi kvapi na dushtita matir labheta vatahata now ivaspadam. Whatever you desire to describe that is separate from the vision of the Lord simply leads to different forms and names, not related with the Lord, which will only agitate the mind, as the wind agitates a boat which is not anchored. So if you have a boat that is not anchored, then the wind can force the boat in all directions. So therefore, one has to be anchored, anchored in Krishna consciousness. And if you're anchored in Krishna consciousness, then one can remain steady in all circumstances. All the different tribulations who are like winds, they will not drag you away from the lotus feet of Krishna. Then one verse more. Chugupsitam dharma krite nushasata svabhavarktasya mahan yatikrama yadvakyato dharma iti tarastito namanyate tasya nivaranam chanaha. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of dharma. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable, because they are guided under your instructions. They will accept such activities in the name of dharma and will hardly care for prohibitions. In the purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti paraphrases. He paraphrases Vyasadev's thoughts, or what he had in mind. I wrote the Mahabharata and other works so that people could hear the glories of the Lord, but I have first presented material happiness in these works in order to promote scriptures to materialistic persons who do not want bhakti. But that is not my real intention. The proof is Vidura's words. Munir vivakshur bhagavat gunanam sakhapi te paratam aha Krishna yasmin rinam gramya sukhanu vadai matir grihitan hare katayam. O sage, he addresses Maitreya. Your friend Vedavyas, desiring to describe the qualities of the Lord, wrote the Mahabharata. In that work, he attracted man's attention to topics of the Lord through topics about material happiness. That's a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 5th chapter, text 12. That is true. As Vidura said, in order to make people accept worship of the Lord, dharma krite, you have taught what is condemned, karma jugupsitam. A great disturbance has come about for materialistic people who are attached to enjoy from impressions arising from sense objects. Svabhava raktasya, because you have taught material dharma. But though your intention was to help them, you have actually injured them. How? Because materially minded men, prakrita, ascertaining what you explained to be the correct path, dharma iti, thinking that it is not a fault to offer meat to the devatas and pitris, do not consider giving up that path and do not consider what is actually to be done. Sarva dharma parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. They think that the statement is not part of the path you have outlined for enjoyment, karma and artha. Vichakshano syarhati veditum vibor ananta parasya nivritita sukham pravartama nasya gunair anatmanas tato bhavan darshaya cheshtitam vibor. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachments should be shown the ways of transcendental realization by your good self through descriptions of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. And then he explains that the devotional service is never a loss. Whatever you do in karma, on the jnana, it's not guaranteed, or how to say, there's no, not sure that you will actually attain the result forever in next life. But but if you are engaging in devotional service, then even though a transcendentalist may fall down or stops it for some time, it is still not lost, because he will continue there where he stopped. Tyaktva sadharmam charanam bucham harer vachanna pakvota patet tato yadi yatrakva vabhadram abhut amushya kim Kovarta abdo bachatam svadharmataha. One who has forsaken material occupations, svadharma, to engage in Krishna bhakti, may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage. Yet there is no danger of being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, svadharma, that means in karma kandya, does not gain anything. Because if you're committing offense there, you have to perform so many prayaschita, so many purification processes to counteract the fault and the offense. And if you don't do that, you practically stick there, and get reactions for it life after life. So, but in Bhakti Yoga, Shukadev Goswami, he encouraged Maharaj Parikshit, there is no prayaschata needed. You don't have to perform tapasya, extra tapasya, or penances for your offense or faulty thing what you did, or sin. You just have to continue to engage in hearing and chanting about Krishna. That's the only medicine. Because even if you take prayaschata of tapasya, brahmacharena, samena cha, damena cha, tyagena satya sauchavam, yamena nyamena va. If you follow this process of yoga, of austerity, celibacy, and sense control, mind control, yama niyama, accepting favorable in sadhana and rejecting unfavorable things, yama niyama. So all these things, they certainly will purify you, but they cannot liberate you. Because in the next rainfall, when the next shower comes, then it's like weeds that you rooted out, but the seeds are still there. They will come again up, and the whole field is again full of weeds. In the garden, one can observe this. But Shukadev Goswami, he says, if you're taking shelter in Kechi Kevala Bhaktya, Vasudev Parayana, if you engage in Kevala Bhakti, that means in the pure devotional service to Krishna, then that will not only uproot the weeds of karma, but it will also destroy the seeds. The karma beach, the seeds of karma become only destroyed through Bhakti Yoga, through loving devotional service to Krishna. There's no other means. Everything else is only hard work, uprooting the weeds, but the seeds are still there. And that's the hard work. So Bhagavatam is like the sun, brilliant as the sun. It's not different from Krishna. It has a reason. After Krishna left from this world, simultaneously Bhagavatam manifested that great work to shed light to the people who have lost their orientation. And the Bhagavatam we have to learn from the Bhagavata devotee. That's stated in the Adi Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the first chapter. Therefore, Nitai Gauranga appeared like sun and moon, removing the darkness of ignorance in all the people's hearts, all kleshas, all anarthas, all, how we say, ignorance, avidya, is removed by the sunlight of the moonlight of Nitai Gauranga. And Kaviraj Goswami defines the greatest cheating propensity is to attain liberation without Krishna consciousness, nothing Krishna, nothing take shelter in Krishna. This is a self-cheat, and it's not the ultimate goal. So, and therefore, the devotees consider this is a waste of the time. So here, the great soul Narada encouraged Vyasadeva. Therefore, you have to rectify. You wanted to do something good to the people, but actually, instead to give them the nectar, the amrit, you gave them the poison. Karma kanda, jnana kanda, kevala, ananda. Karma kanda, jnana kanda, kevala, vishara, vishera banda, vishera. It's a poison. It's 2 pots of poison. But Lord Chaitanya brought, and Nityananda is kevala, ananda kanda. But karma kanda and jnana kanda is kevala, vishera banda. That's the difference. Kevala vishera. Kevala means pure. So the kevala ananda kanda, the pure ananda of Krishna bhakti. Kevala, it's the path of Krishna bhakti. That's kevala. But if you have pure poison, kevala vishera banda, then your life is finished. So therefore, if you take shelter in the karma kanda and jnana kanda, in the name of a religion, in the name of dharma, and we say, oh, we have seen this, we have read in Mahabharata and in other scriptures of the great sage Vyasa. So we can perform prayaschita, we can perform pious activities. We can also do some sin, and then counteract the sin by engaging again in some pious activities, by giving dana, donations, and performing yajna, sacrifices, being charitable, like that. So in this way, I can counteract my reaction of the karma. But this is like a gambling, it's risky. So for Narada thought this is not a good idea. He actually wanted to give the people something good in the name of religion. You thought, oh, they are not ready to accept directly Krishna consciousness, so I have to give them some path who is, I would say, still in the gunas, still connected with their activities and their senses and with their desires, but so that they can become purified and ultimately may come to bhakti. But that is a risky path. That maybe takes you many, many lifetimes. You cannot do it in one lifetime. The scriptures stated, even if you perform 100 lifetimes of varnashram duties, 100 lifetime varnashram duty, you can attain the position or the realm of Lord Brahma. But still, you're in the material world. Brahmaloka still fear that I will die, although very long time. But still the fears are there. So Brahmaloka is not the goal of life. And if you engage more than 100 lifetimes in pious activities in karma kandya, maybe you can attain Shiva Loka. That's all stated in the Priya Bhagavatamrita. But even that is a marginal stage, because Shiva Loka is marginal. Right? It's not material world and it's not spiritual world. So therefore, if you want to go to the spiritual world, one can only attain it by Kevala Ananda Kanda. And that is what Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda brought us. Therefore, all the cheating religion of Bhagavatam is kicked out and removed by the 2 Bhagavatas, the book Bhagavata and the person's Bhagavata, Nitai Gauranga, Guru and Gauranga. They're kicking the cheating propensity from the people's minds and give them the pure nectar. So this is a mercy, although it's not so easy, but it's available for those who somehow or other receive this mercy by association of the devotees. So I also wanted to read some slokas from Rishabhadev in his instructions. He says, Nayam deho deha pacham riloke, kastang kaman arhate vitpucham ye, tapo divyam putra kayena satvam, shudyat yasma brahma saukyam vanantam. My dear sons, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for the dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. Tapo divyam, it's not an ordinary tapa, it's devotional service. That's also tapa, because maybe we like to speak nonsense, but the tapasya is, no, I speak about Krishna, I chant Hare Krishna. I like to engage in according to my own way, no, but no, I will follow that what Guru is giving me, the direction. I will associate with devotees, and I will engage in devotional service steadily, 24 hours a day. Even if we are not 24 hours, but we actually engage 24 hours, even in the mind. We think about it and being absorbed. And the more you're absorbed, the more it will actually becomes an positive habit, and you always are absorbed in that thought. And how is possible? Mahat sevam tvaram aho rimuktes tamo tvaram yoshitam sangisangam ahantaste samachita prasanta vimanyava suridas adave. So he recommends, or actually instructs, to engage, associate with devotees, because association of the Mahatmas, the great souls, lead to liberation. And there, Prabhupada writes two kinds of Mahatmas: those who are going the path of Brahmavada, like the Kumaras, like that, who are on the Brahma platform. They are Mahatmas and the devotees. So all the transcendentalists, karmic and yogis, they don't show interest in material lifestyle. Their goal is to attain the transcendental position. Only their realization is different. Therefore, for the Bhakta, like Shukadev Goswami, like Narada, and ultimately also Vyasadeva, because he became enlightened with that, with the ultimate purpose of Vedic guidelines to engage in devotional service to attain Krishna, lotus feet. But those who are not interested in such service, but instead associate with people found to women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. A Mahatma is equipoised and does not see any difference between one living entity and another. He is very peaceful and fully engaged in devotional service. Devoid of anger, he works for the benefit of everyone, and he does not behave in an abominable way. Then another one. Those who are interested in reviving Krishna consciousness and increasing their love of Godhead do not like to do anything that is not related to Krishna. They are not interested in people who are maintaining their body, mating and defending. They are not attached to their homes, although they may be householders, nor are they attached to wives, children, friends, or wealth. At the same time, they are not indifferent to the execution of their duties, Such people are interested in collecting only enough money to keep the body and soul together. So Bhagavatam is a full information in this direction. So if you regularly hear these Bhagavatam narrations and instructions, then our tendency to engage in fruitive activities and for our own sense gratification will gradually become purified, and we develop an eagerness, labha. Everyone has labha, eagerness, but instead of eagerness for material achievements or lust and greed, kama lobha, we become greedy and enthusiastic in devotional service, serving the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada's mission, and absorbing in this process of devotional service. And that will ultimately lead to the supreme perfection of life. Okay, I stop here. Any questions? In English, it goes faster. Okay, Vanamali has a question, or Shakya.
Yes. Vanamali, thank you for this nice class and also for yesterday's class. You were speaking about faith. Also, I hear yesterday when you said deep faith and deep determination, and you were mentioning Narottam Das Thakur, and it is the beginning, and so many steps are coming after, and I see it is important, but we tend to forget this first step. So since you mention it, it must be very important, but it's like the beginner needs faith. Shraddha, Bhajana, Kriya, Sadhu, Sangha, Anartha, Vritti. It's just I become conscious that this is important, and I maybe if you can still say something more, even you already mentioned.
You listen to class again. Listen, because you have tendency to forget. Listen to class again. Why I have to repeat what I already told? So if you get the inspiration from there, hear it again and hear this class again, and then everything will be clear.
Thank you.
I'm not a baby. You should not think you're the baby now and I'm your papa or mama and I have to repeat everything to you again and again. It's recorded, so then listening it again. I have to explain it another hour now to what I already explained. And otherwise, you read the books, then it's further explained. You can read these sections, what we read now, and go absorbing in it. Don't stay full. Claro?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, Govardhan. You also have a question on your forehead, I see.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much thank you very much for the class. For also yesterday I was over YouTube. I have some technical problems. Yeah, I don't know what to say. You say at the beginning today, you mentioned me mercifully and Shakya, that we have to surrender and not to wait. But I know, I always think that I surrender first when I go to the temple, and then, with starting to chant and follow the principles. And now I'm trying to do puja is a little bit more, I find quite, to follow sadhana. I have to tell you, it's, I have desire, but Guru Maharaj is extremely hard. Sometimes I succeed, but the next day, I don't know what, I think you know better me than myself. I'm afraid that the biggest, I think because I'm working still quite a lot of physical activities. Now I go to Sankirtan, I go out, and then this service in the house, cleaning, and then puja, and I have to care for my son and cooking. It's I don't know. It's extremely hard to follow sadhana, to wake up. I have a desire to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, but I don't know. I can't do it every day. One day I do, then
anyway,
totally collapse.
Anyway, sadhana doesn't mean that you have to adjust to wake up at 4 o'clock. You adjust to your physical work and program of the day, and make a program and make this a sadhana, you know. Because you're not a brahmachari in the temple, and so you're a grihastha, or because you live in a home and you have a son, and so you have your duties, and in this way engage, making a schedule, you know, where your mind can become fixed or adjusted. Because if you are not doing it, then we're making other things as our habits, and then we are deviating from the bhakti sadhana. So we have bhakti sadhana. So you have 24 hours a day.
Yeah, understand. But
these 24 hours a day, we chant 2-3 hours Hare Krishna mantra. We read Prabhupada's books. We're listening to lectures. That maybe also takes 1-2 hours. Then you cook prasadam and eat prasadam. That maybe also takes 1-2 hours. You worship the deities. That maybe will take an hour, a minimum a half an hour. Depends what kind of standard you have. You have to clean the rooms and your flat, and because you have no help. And so in this way, and you have to sleep, and also.
Na WhatsApp si mi poslala na Viber.
This Vrindarika.
That's also has to be regulated, and so eating, sleeping, also has activities regulated. So I know you are very sincere. Sometimes one is too sincere, and then one becomes a little stiff, and then is not flexible enough, and to adjust to the situation, and also become a little detached, you know, from that you are not a doer, that you are not the enjoyer, so that we are actually just try to do our best and try to become instrumental.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think too much. Just keep going. Everything is all right. Krishna will help you. You have Krishna Balaram, so Gonitai. You have so much mercy there. You have Hare Krishna mantra, you have Prabhupada's books, you have nice devotees in your town, and you actually have not a problem.
No. my habits is probably still like this.
Do the habits you have, it's a part of your past life. So you now engage in the positive devotional service, and gradually these habits you will forget them. They will you can overcome them, and they will go down, and then that what is more important in your life will take over. Will not stay in your forehead and in your heart all the time. So it will all sink down, It is maybe still there, because it's still you're still a part of your karma in this life. So you don't have to hate these habits and try to kick them out and become angry at it. No, just be positive in the process of Krishna consciousness. But then the energy, Krishna's energy, will flow and will help you to become steady and equipoised, and as the Mahatmas are described here, friendly to all living entities and not fault-finding, and be benefactors of other living entities. As we have heard yesterday, the devas like Brahma, they consider themselves not pure devotees because they still have desires, they have still occupations in this universe. And he compares himself with the pure devotees who only engage in pure devotional service without any selfishness. And then he also sees those who have no interest in anything, not in regulated occupations, even with regulated sense gratification, but also have not interest for devotional service, also not for this purified dharma process, but they only engage in sinful activities. So he condemns this mentality, and he also, in one sense, condemns the devatas' attachments, and that they are not so merciful as the devotees because they only perform their duties in the universal affairs, but the devotees, they're transcendental to the duties of the material society. Externally, they maybe still perform to maintain their bodies and soul and family and so on together. But in the same time, they are also merciful, they're compassionate to other living entities, and therefore they try to share with them or preach to them this process of Krishna consciousness and guide them in spiritual activities, in Krishna conscious activities. Yeah, there's a question by, what is it, Vrindarika?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
We hear you.
I wrote it in the chat, but if you don't read it, I just wanted to ask from yesterday, you were speaking about Shiksha, that Shiksha is more important than Diksha. So my question is, if Shiksha is more important than Diksha, then why our ISKCON is so important in Diksha? And is it if somebody takes Diksha and make offenses, or he's not following fully, completely sometimes, does he make more offenses than just taking?
Then what?
Then if he is taking Shiksha and sometimes not following properly, is it then better than to take just Shiksha? Is he making because he's taking shiksha? He said he will follow, take vows, but he's not following properly. Then is it better than to say just shiksha disciple without taking initiation and following all everything and promise that he will do everything?
Yeah. Anyway, we cannot, how to say, compromise the process. The process is to take shelter of Guru and accept Diksha and Shiksha from him, and ask confidential also questions about spiritual life, and follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and the other great saintly persons, Sadhu Preacha. So these are these first 5 items or angas of devotional service of Bhakti Anga, Bhakti, Vidhi, Sadhana Angas, Bhakti, Vidhi, Vaidhi, Bhakti, Sadhana Angas. So these there are 64. Srila Rupa Goswami mentions in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar Devotion, we have by Srila Prabhupada, summary. So we have the 64 items, and of these 64 items, the first 5 are most important. That's shelter of Guru, accepting Diksha and Shiksha, and asking questions, inquiring for about how to advance in devotional service and to follow in the footsteps of the sadhus. Sadhu Priti. So these are the 5 most important ones. So therefore, in ISKCON, we are followers of Rupa Goswami also. Gaudiya Vaishnavas are all followers of Rupa Goswami. So we cannot take Diksha out and only emphasize Shiksha. So both is there. The only history or experience shows that many accept Diksha, they become very fired up and even get Diksha. They're very serious up to Diksha, and then after that they become critical and or a little lax or more or less lax in their sadhana and in their promises, and then they're, I would say, fading away from the process. Therefore we can see that the Diksha itself will not save you. It's like a marriage. And when man and woman want to marry, then they make a promise, you go to the Amt, Civil Amt, and someday go to the church or go to the temple, and then you make your promises, you make your celebration, your ritual, samskara ritual, and promises, and also the whole ritual. This is external. You exchange rings and like that, and you look in each other's eyes and you promise, and but still we can see, although you do that, it's still divorce. Still so many problems, so many unchastities, and cheating is going on, and or they beat each other or quarrel with each other. That means that the love is only very short, the honeymoon, and then the difficult time comes maybe. It doesn't have to be, because marriage, it's a commitment, that means we have to learn how to tolerate each other and also help each other and encourage each other. You cannot make it alone. When you are single, you can always think about you and with your problems, you know. But if you are married, then you have to think about not only you, I and me, and my, but also about what is your partner's, what is your wife's, and what is the wife, what is your husband's situation, and understand each other and help each other. So it's a growing for many, many years, for a lifetime. Then it becomes actually very nice. But this short terms of connection, and then if a little fighting and disagreement, and maybe considering us maybe not still not the right, then you change your mind and then you go another direction. So that's also the misfortune in the Kali Yuga. And in the spiritual life, we also have these commitments. Diksha is like the marriage ceremony. So you become practically connected to Guru and Sampradaya. You're making your promises. You get the mantras, you get the initiations, like that. But then if you don't take shelter in the Shiksha of the Guru and work on it, also in a relationship with Guru and with in following instruction, this is a relationship like with a husband and wife. It's we have to work on it every day. And don't neglect it and eat it up in yourself without solving the problem between yourself. It becomes only worse. So you have to speak and to how say, work together in a positive way. Like there's one sage is saying the quarrel between husband and wife is like a thunderbolt. You maybe become very shocked by the thunderbolt and this, and you think, oh, the world is going under. It becomes destroyed. And actually, it's only for a moment the thunderbolt and the light and the sound. First, the light is coming, and then the sound. But you understand, it's not eternal; it goes over. So even if you have quarrels these different opinions, and don't flip out, or don't take this as something very devastating. It's happening, but the life is going on. Don't change. Don't change. Because the next sampradaya you will go, the next guru you will go, or the next partner, but you will have the same thing will go on there, because you take your impurities, your desires, your karma with you, and there will have the same thing going on. So we have to learn how to work to become sincere and work on ourselves, and in the relation with Guru and Krishna and with devotees, and engage in favorable anukulena Krishnanu shilanam bhakti rutama, and not become fault finder and criticizer and offender. Don't associate with them. Don't listen to them. They're if to apparatus, you should not listen. And we can also we cannot recommend them now. Okay, now Diksha maybe we cannot encourage only Shiksha, because Diksha is a part of these 64 angas, and it's one of the 5 that we receive mantra. Diksha means Gayatri mantra and all other mantras that we receive from our sampradaya. So it's a part. Especially if you want to engage in deity worship and in cooking and in the temple and also in your home. You need certain Brahminical standard, and that's the meaning of Diksha. So Diksha is an initiation into Pancharatrika Vidhi, in the process of regulated worship of the deities in your home or in the temple. And for that you need Diksha. If you're not ready for this, you know, for deity worship and for doing service to the deity, if you only want to go on Sankirtan and, or in preaching activities or in cleaning the temple or a little association and have a little fun with the devotee, like in party spirit, then you don't need Diksha. But because in the beginning we don't see who is ready for Diksha and Shiksha, for Diksha, because in the beginning everyone is inspired. In the beginning everything is new and it's fresh and everyone is enthusiastic. But if a guru sees that somebody is actually not qualified and still initiates him, gives him Diksha, then he gets karma for it. With the disciple together. Therefore, it's not recommended that the guru accepts too many unqualified disciples. Of course, in the beginning, we don't always see it because therefore there's a testing time. Previously, one was maybe initiating too quick. There were even gurus who immediately they just come, have program, lecture, and then who likes to have initiation? So, and then 50, 100 immediately come and then not qualified. No testing period. Sanatana Goswami, he mentions in Hari Bhakti Vilas this testing period, minimum 1 year to 2. Not only testing guru disciple also guru. They have to know each other. But this testing period nowadays we take very I don't know, very not so only very casual, so extra very. We don't have this deepness to actually understanding and training how to test. So, but because we are also an international society, and so therefore we always hope, you know, that your authorities will test you. They will recommend you. But the authorities many times are also motivated, and then because they need service, puja, and therefore they recommend you, although maybe you're not qualified. So that authority also get karma. That's why we have problems, you know, because many, they become recommended just because of some kind of, I don't know, big donation or need of seva for certain things, or because he distributed the books for quite some time and was very steady and had good results. Or maybe nobody tests him, you know, what is actually your inner life, what is your what are your desires? What is your motivation? Many times when it's very ambitious, and or one hides also certain tendencies, and because Sankirtan is a book distribution, let's say, is something what you can do also professionally. You have a certain nature, you know, to how to deal with people and to how to sell and convince something. It's not necessarily a transcendental process. Only it will become transcendental if you actually do it in this mind of pleasing Guru and Krishna, and really helping the living entities to become Krishna conscious, not for profit. we're going out for our own profit, we cannot call this Sankirtan. There's another cheat also. It's not Sankirtan. So we cannot call everything painting Sankirtan, candle Sankirtan, tourist card Sankirtan. Sankirtan means chanting the distribution and absorption in holy name. And in books are not different from the holy name, therefore the absorption in reading the books and in distributing the books, this is also Sankirtan. But anything else is not Sankirtan. We should not call this Sankirtan. It's just your business, that's your job. So I cannot say I go out on Sankirtan. Then you say I go out and I make my job to earn my money, and then it's honest. Then you will get benefit. And if you really go on Sankirtan, then do it. Go out with the Sankirtan groups, go out with the book distributors, or go to the Bhagavad Katha or Krishna Katha, Sangha, then that's Sankirtan. And otherwise, we are just imagining something to cheat ourselves and others. But that's not Sankirtan. Okay, I spoke too much, too long. I hope it's clear.
Yes, almost in the first sentence you gave me answer. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Why you don't told me?
What?
I will not speak so long.
Why? Because I heard even more nectar.
No, because the first sentence would be
Yes, but after you were speaking about marriage, and I like that also.
Thank you very much. That's my questions.
No, because I like when you are speaking about marriage and relationship and Thunderbolt. This part I like very much, and I would not hear it if I would tell you to stop.
Okay. Good, then somebody else has question?
Something is in the chat. I will just check.
Maybe
is it the question?
Shakya, maybe Shakya, you have maybe something in your mind?
No, no this time. It is the message from Amida. Thank you very much. For example, with marriage, it makes it so clear. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good, and the Peter Klavas, what's his name? Panduram. Pandunath. He always have good question.
Pandunath Prabhu.
Okay.
Ja koliko sam razumeo, on kaže da uvek ima neko dobro pitanje, ili sam pogrešno shvatio?
Da, dobro si razumeo, rekao je da uvek imaš dobro pitanje. Da.
Sad nemam nikakvo pitanje, samo mu se zahvaljujem što učestvuje na ovim našim druženjima i čitao sam u svetim spisima da kaže se, može samo malo da mi objasni da ako neko ne razume da se položaj gurua ne razlikuje od položaja svevišnje božanske ličnosti, odnosno tačnije da je obožavanje čak gurua važnije od obožavanja svevišnje božanske ličnosti, pa da mi to malo pojasni. Jer bez toga ne možemo ući u tajnu svetog imena. Harigo.
I will try to translate. So thank you very much that you took part in our Serbian Zoom, that we have opportunity to hear from you. So actually I have not exactly the question, but I was read in saint scriptures that the worshipping the guru is even same like worshipping the God, and we can say that even more important to worship the guru than worship to God. If you can say something about this and clarify little bit what does it mean in this connection.
Yeah, like Srila Prabhupada told, you know, I don't know Krishna, but I know my guru. So, as a devotee of Krishna, we should follow the process established by Krishna, and the process established by Krishna is to accept shelter by Acharya. There's this famous verse. Wait a moment. From the Adi Lila, first chapter, text 46. Acharya mam Vichaniyan Navaman Yeta Karhichit Namartya Bhutaya Suyita Sarvadeva Mayo Hari Mayo Guru. Sorry. One should know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the Devas. So the Yasya Prasad Shakshatharit Venasa Master Shastraya. So the spiritual master or Acharya is the direct representative of Hari, Krishna. He's the supreme servitor of Godhead. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer Godhead, and the spiritual master is the supreme servant of God. So we should not misidentify and make Guru then one with the God and think, oh, he's Krishna himself. No, this is then aparat. This is offense. So he's not different, but like I mentioned in my Vyasa Puja offering to Srila Prabhupada this year, the spiritual master is he's like an ambassador. So the ambassador is representing the interest of the government, of the president. So if you offend the ambassador, then it is an offense to your government and to your president. And if you are accepting his message and his message of the messenger or of the, how we call it, the ambassador, then actually also are in favor of the government or of the president. So that's actually the simple example given. And we cannot jump and think, oh, I should deal with this ambassador. The president should come himself to me. So and tell me his message. Huh? But Krishna actually did this already. So he came to this world and he spoke Bhagavad Gita to his devotee, Arjuna. And also to Uddhava. So we have Uddhava Gita. We have Uddhava's a lot of nectar in the 11th canto. So the message of Krishna is very clear. No? And now it is in our interest to accept actually the process established by the Lord, not that the process that we would like to have. I will surrender to him if he will show himself personally to me. He has to come to me. Who are you? So many lifetimes you were rascal. And now God has to come himself to you and give you a personal instruction. No, he will not do. He's not fool. So why Krishna spoke to Arjuna? Because Arjuna was his devotee, he was faithful, and he was not envious. That was the 3 qualification. So we have this qualification. And if you have this qualification, then approach Guru, representative of Krishna, who is as good as Krishna. You should not see him different from Krishna because he is representing Krishna's message. And if you follow this instruction or message what Guru is bringing to you, then you can actually connect to Krishna. You can actually see this as direct, not indirect. It's a direct information and instructions what Krishna gives through you, through the chain of disciplic succession. I think makes it very clear, not? Okay, Peter.
Thank you very much.
Okay, then, thank you very much all, and keep going, and see you in 1 month again, huh? And yeah, that's all. Hare Krishna, Prantaraj Sima Jai,
Jai.
Jai, all this.
Rohinisuta Prabhu ki jai.
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 Hare Krishna. Maharaj.